Ready to start it? Thanks for joining us here for this episode of Colorado Conversations. I'm Andrea Henderson, morning anchor of FOX31, and I'm joined here by Paul and Nikki Cox, the owner of Next Health in Boulder. So thank you guys for being here, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. So let's talk about Next Health.
Yeah.
For people who maybe aren't familiar, how would you explain it to someone? Like they're walking in the doors for the first time. I know I was there. It's a beautiful facility.
Thank you.
So just tell people what to expect. What is this place?
Yeah, so Next Health is a health optimization and longevity clinic. And we specialize in functional medicine and take a proactive approach to healthcare, which is what we call Medicine 4.0.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So what exactly does that mean? Someone's going to say, okay, longevity, all that. What does that mean? So what types of treatments does that entail?
I think one of the things that Dr. Darshan Shah is the founder of Next Health. One of the things that he says is we believe in the abundance of vitality, not just the absence of disease. And so Next Health is really about optimizing your life, feeling good into your older, into your older years. All the things, the treatments that are out there, all under one roof that can help you achieve optimal longevity and wellness, essentially.
And you have all different kinds of treatments, from IV therapy to the red light to some more advanced things. And we'll talk about all of that in just a moment. But first, let's just talk about how the two of you got involved, because I know there's different locations around the country.
Yeah.
What specifically, I'm assuming that you visited one of the locations and you're like, yes, I want to be a part of this. So what pushed you to do that?
Yeah, exactly. And like a lot of people that get into this space, it's our own personal health journey. And for me specifically, I had some gut health issues that kind of came out of nowhere. And I went to my traditional doctor and went through a whole gamut of very expensive tests. And essentially they kind of said, we don't know what's wrong. We think you're okay. And I knew that wasn't the right answer.
Yeah.
So I started kind of seeking out different functional medicine and alternative medicine practices to kind of help figure out what's going on. I went to like 5 or 6 different people and places, and then through a lot of self-education, really took a deep dive into functional medicine and your body's ability to heal itself and how you can help that. And what happened with Next Health is we initially looked at that because I wanted to go as a patient. And at the time, the closest location was in Los Angeles, where it started. And through conversations with Next Health, we were like, this is where healthcare is going. They're at the cutting edge. This is amazing. We'd love to be part of this. And we started talking to them about opening a location in Boulder, Colorado. And they said they supported it, and a 2-year journey from then till today. And we just opened like a month ago at 29th Street Mall.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful facility. Why was it Boulder? That's where you wanted to go. That's where you had this vision of opening Next Health. Why specifically in Boulder?
Well, Boulder as a community is just so wellness driven already. Obviously, a very healthy state. A lot of people that are already, understand some of these functional medicine principles, and we just felt like it would be really well received here. Every time we come to visit Colorado in the past before we lived here, we were like, it's just such a healthy lifestyle, and we just knew that people would adapt the lifestyle, well. And then to that point, Next Health, when we approached them about locations, Boulder and the Denver area was on their list of, if you will, A locations of where they thought, the business would really thrive. So it was kind of a combination of all those factors.
Yeah, well, I feel like you hit the nail on the head when it comes to Colorado and Boulder. It's like if you're not outside doing something, you almost feel guilty because people, they're climbing, they're biking, they're doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I think something you said is really interesting, because I think this is an experience that maybe a lot of people have had, where there's something going on with their body, it's not quite right, and they go to various doctors and they're like, nope, they take the test and they're like, everything looks fine. And I'm sure that's just a feeling of, I don't know, you just feel like alone, kind of like helplessness, because you're like, well, what do I do? There is something wrong. So were you able to find the help and the treatment that you needed through this clinic?
And kind of piecing these different, I said, going to 5 or 6 different places, I kind of had to piece all that together. And this was about 3.5 to 4 years ago. So before we discovered Next Health. And through that and just self-education and kind of, like I said, taking a deep dive into this, I was able to heal myself. But looking back, I sure wish there was the next health I could have gone to at that time or discovered it.
Right.
It would have saved a lot
quicker.
of time and energy and money to just start there. But ultimately, it ended up where we should, because we now have this beautiful clinic. So.
And I know, speaking to you both before, or one of the ladies that worked there, she was talking about, again, going back, you get traditional blood work or tests done at a doctor's office, and everything might come up like, cool, you're in normal range, but just because you're in normal range doesn't mean there aren't ways to improve.
Yep.
And that's something that a clinic like yours is able to help on, because there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to be, dealing with specific issues necessarily to come and get treatment from you guys.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues in traditional healthcare is that, the averages slide a little bit every year in terms of what physicians are looking at for these biomarkers and things like that, right? Because the average population isn't necessarily getting healthier, right? And so we look at things, that's why we use the word optimal, right? We're trying to help people achieve optimal health. And so by doing that, you really have to dial in those biomarkers, look at those specific things, and you're not trying to just get to the average range. It's how will you really achieve optimal health to feel your best and have your body working the way it should.
And you offer various different therapies, which again we can talk about in a moment, from IVs, hormone, peptide, all across the board. You kind of do a wide variety of things. So if people come in, is it also a way to be a little bit proactive and maybe get ahead of things so you could prevent disease down the road? Is that the idea?
Yeah, absolutely. That's
100%.
exactly what we encourage patients to do, is not wait till you're sick.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get sick, and you have a much harder road to kind of climb back to get back to optimal health. So that's exactly what we talk, preventative, proactive healthcare. And it all starts with blood work. So we don't like to guess. So we have all of our patients come in and start with at least the baseline blood test, which gives you a very solid panel to understand what's happening. And then we can build from there. So whatever results come back from that, you meet with our medical provider for an hour and develop a very detailed protocol for you specifically. And then we can pivot, and maybe someone has gut health issues, or their hormones are all over the board, or they've got sleep issues. And then we kind of go down the path and tailor the plan specifically to that person.
Gotcha. I know about sleep issues, but I feel like they're kind of forced sleep issues. I don't have a job, or I don't have a choice but to have sleep issues with this job.
Yes, that's hard.
So let's talk about some of the treatments, because we talked about a lot about the background and how you guys work, different kinds of treatments. So people watching might be like, okay, so what are these treatments? So let's kind of just go down the list. You have some of maybe the more traditional ones that people might think about, like the IVs, which I would say is a great option for people, the red light, but also I would say more advanced ones as well. So let's just kind of talk about some of the treatments you offer.
Yeah, so we have, a section of the business is really what we call the wellness technology. So these are the different machines that, people may be familiar with and may be offered in other clinics and places, but not necessarily all on one roof. You see, we have cryotherapy, which you definitely see cryotherapy places. You see saunas, obviously, in different various settings. We have those two things. We also have an infrared LED bed, which again, infrared light, that's definitely something that's not completely new. There's places like that, but again, it's all in one spot. And then we offer something called hyperbaric oxygen, a chamber.
I saw that thing.
Yeah,
I was like, what is this?
Yes.
It looks like a submarine.
Yeah, it's kind of like
crazy.
a fancy machine sitting in the back there. And it's been really well received in the Boulder area too. It's a really high grade machine that most people don't see unless it's in a hospital setting.
Okay.
It has a higher atmospheric pressure that it reaches, so it has more therapeutic value than maybe some other machines do. So that's been really well received. A lot of athletes and people recovering from surgeries and things like that are looking for that treatment. So
can you explain what that is, maybe for people who hear that and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about? It's this machine that it's big enough for two people to essentially walk into, and then I know people can sit in there for like an hour. And what happens when you sit in this machine?
Yeah, good question. So it's a hard shell chamber. Like you said, 2 leather reclining seats. There's a TV inside, so it's a very comfortable environment. You are in there for an hour. And you have an oxygen mask on that's delivering 95% pure oxygen through the mask. And it pressurizes up to 2 atmospheres of pressure. And what that does is that supercharges that oxygen into all your tissues and bloodstreams and muscles within your body. It has a whole host of benefits. Immune system, recovery, post and pre-surgery recovery. It also can assist with cognition and brain health. And all kinds of things. So it's one of my favorite things to do. I try to jump in there 3 times a week if I can.
So it's just one of those things that it's good to do repetitively.
It is.
If you have the opportunity to do it, it has a whole, I guess, gamut of benefits that come with it.
Yes.
It's very interesting. I saw it and I was like, whoa, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said it's kind of broken into 2 different sections, correct?
Yep.
And the section that we just talked about, that is the
Wellness technology.
wellness technology section. And then you have this whole health side, or I don't know.
Medical side.
Medical side of it. Okay, so we obviously want to talk about that medical side.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick break and we'll touch on all of that when we come back. Welcome back here, Colorado Conversation. So when we went to break, we were talking about the one side of the facility where you have the machines, you have the red lights, you have different stuff that people can enjoy. And now we want to talk about the medical side of the facility, because you offer a whole variety of options for people over on that side. So walk us through some of the cool things that you offer to people. And some of these things I'm like, I don't really even understand what it is. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so when you start, we encourage everyone, like we talked about, to get your baseline blood test and then go meet with our medical provider. So we have a full-time medical provider at the clinic that's there to help all of our patients start their health journey. But to your question, some of the more advanced services we offer, so men's and women's hormone replacement therapy, peptides, stem cells, a whole host of testing, gut health testing, toxin testing, hormone testing,
Cancer screening, genetic testing.
yeah, sleep study screening if someone wants to focus on sleep. And then that kind of starts to lead our medical provider down the path of what they need to focus on for that individual person, because everyone's different, right? You're an N of one. And then we get into some of the more advanced therapies, which are EBU, which is we filter the blood with ozone, and it helps remove viruses and pathogens and things from the blood. And then right now, the most advanced therapy that we offer is called therapeutic plasma exchange, or TPE. And what this does is we remove the plasma from your blood and we discard it. And in the plasma is where things like microplastics, molds, toxins, viruses, spike proteins tend to live and congregate. And we remove that from your body and dispose of it. So you kind of get this whole fresh restart, basically like an oil change for your body.
Jeez Louise. So it basically just gets rid of all the bad stuff that your body's holding on to. And it's a fresh start.
Yeah, because as you
Exactly.
age, you over time you start to develop, more concentration of all these things, right? So this is really the most advanced way to remove those things and start fresh, if you will.
And I just did it myself 2 weeks ago.
Oh, how do you feel?
I feel phenomenal.
Do you know, like, is there a noticeable after you do something like that? Like, you can feel like, okay, you feel different?
So the next day, it's about a 2-hour procedure. It's in one of our beautiful treatment rooms. The next day, I felt just a little tired, kind of like after a hard workout or a long hike or something like that. The day after that, I woke up and just felt amazing. Very high energy, mental clarity, just kind of ready to go. And that's carried with me now for a couple weeks, which has been amazing.
That's awesome. So walk me through, if someone's coming into the clinic, what are the steps like? Like, you first meet with a medical provider and they go through your history, your health history, all of that before you even start any of these treatments, correct?
You can potentially come in and do some of the other treatments. Some people come in already educated on some of these things and maybe already doing some of these treatments piecemeal at different clinics. So it really depends. Everybody's journey is different when they come in. So we just try to engage them, ask them questions about their health journey, figure out what they're currently focused on, right? And that's maybe the best place to start for most people is, I'm really focused on sleep, or I'm really focused on my hormones, or whatever it is. But then once we get into those steps and get into the blood work, that's when it opens up some further conversations about other things they may want to consider. Once they optimize their sleep, maybe they want to take a look at hormones or things like that. So it's not a one-size journey for everybody. Everybody is on a different journey. But we do encourage all of our patients that come in to spend that time meeting with her provider, because that's really how we're going to give the best outcomes to people who come in, is by getting the data-driven approach through those biomarkers.
And that's the thing for some people, if they're coming in, they're like, I want to work on X, Y, Z. But if someone just comes in and they're just very, general, I just overall want to feel better, want to work on my health, I would assume that's probably when you really dive into their history and their personal medical past.
Yeah, same approach there. We get that baseline test done, because that's, as it's called, the baseline, right? It's like these are the 50 to 60 biomarkers that are the most important to start with. And it checks, cardiovascular health, hormone health, thyroid, different categories. And that kind of allows us to then see where they need some support, and it gives a place to start.
So for some of your other treatments, I know you talked about the advanced one, and I appreciate you explaining exactly how that works. But even some of the other treatments, like the hormone therapy, peptide therapy, who would be good candidates for those? What is that specifically targeting?
Yeah, so great question. So like for therapeutic plasma exchange, right, when we're talking about getting those toxins out of your body, the candidate for that is anyone that eats, lives, or breathes in America. Because we're literally bombarded and accumulate all of these toxic substances. So it's kind of a joke and it's funny here, but that's a true statement.
You're like literally anyone.
Yes, exactly. And we have a lot of professional athlete clients that are coming in and they're focused on recovery. So they're doing things like the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Some of them are looking for peptides if they have some injury stuff that they're trying to recover from. So it really depends. Or we have people that walk in and just want an IV. And they've maybe done IV therapies before, so they kind of know what it's about. And you can do that. We are membership based. You don't have to be a member. But you get some extra incentives and there's some extra access you get as a member. Like those advanced therapies, for instance, you have to be a member to do some of those things. So.
Well, that's how I met you guys. I came in, I got the IV, and I will say, when you're there, there's people administering the IVs who are very knowledgeable about what they're giving. Because I was like, I don't really know. I just kind of want something to just like feel better, give me some energy. And they're like, well, there's X, Y, Z or this option. So it is nice to have someone walk you through, I guess, like this menu of different vitamins or whatever it is to know. Because I look at a list like that, and I'm sure a lot of people do, and they're like, I don't know.
Absolutely. A lot of people do come in uncertain about what to get. And yes, our team is able to kind of walk through, again, what are their goals? What have they been feeling like? What are they focused on right now? Walk them through the IV menu and pick something, help them select something that may be, most focused on. And our nurses are amazing. They know so much. And, they have a lot of knowledge in the functional medicine space, if you will. So they're really able to help people figure out, what may be best.
Yeah. So, options for anyone, no matter where you are in your health journey as you're walking in. I saw you, do you do some like at-home test kits as well when it comes to allergies or maybe gut health? Are those at-home tests that you send in?
Yeah, both. Okay. So most of them are in clinic. So we do all of the blood work and stuff in-house. We're not sending you somewhere else. You can do it here. But there are some tests like gut health testing that you do need to do at home. But it's a mail-in, so you aren't having to go somewhere else. So it's either you mail the kit back to the lab. We give you all the instructions how to do that, or we're just doing the sample collection right here in our Excel studio.
And then you're coming in to meet with our provider to go over the results. That's the important piece, right, too? Because you may get, the piece of paper come and go, what do I do with this, right? Like that's another important piece of this. And actually to that point in, other places that people may go, they may get their blood results back and then they're like, what do I do with this? So our provider is there so that people can get that really focused, dedicated time and not just a couple minutes, right? You're getting a full hour, consultation with our provider to really dig in deep to this stuff.
That's what, when you go to, a traditional doctor and you do your annual blood work or whatever it may be, which of course is great to do, but a lot of times, they'll be like, yep, looks good, and then they'll send you the results and you're just looking at a bunch of numbers and stats and percentages, and you're like, I have absolutely no idea what this means, but I'm glad you said it's okay. So it's nice to be able to sit down with someone and be like, okay, they said this was okay, but there's things that you can still improve.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Yeah, and sometimes you just don't know what you know either.
Yeah.
Like going back to our earlier conversation about how we got into this, for me, on my side of things, it was about hormones, which really like got me interested in this whole functional medicine space because shortly after the pandemic, I really started having some of those menopausal symptoms, unfortunately, those kind of things. And it was unexpected. I wasn't prepared for it. My physicians hadn't really prepared me for those kind of things. And then when I went to talk to someone, they're like, you really need to get your hormones checked.
Yeah.
And I did, and I was surprised to find out that my results were very low, like really, really poor. And so I immediately got on hormone replacement therapy, and the difference was dramatic for me in how I felt afterwards. So, these are the things that we can really help people with that maybe they don't even realize until
because
they get some blood work.
In a traditional setting, it's things that often they're probably not testing for. So just because they're like, oh yeah, everything looks fine, you're good, you know your body best, and you know something's off. So it's nice to be able to turn somewhere to be like, okay, let's go through and check what maybe could be off and find a way to fix it. We have to take one more quick break, and then we'll come back and continue talking to you guys. Welcome back. We're talking to Paul and Nikki Cox here with Next Health, which just opened in the last month in Boulder. Very exciting. So how has the response been so far? I think Boulder is a pretty unique place. Like you said, you get athletes. Some Olympians are coming into your clinic as well for recovery. So has it been good so far?
It's been great, yes. We had our soft opening was the last weekend in March, and the response was really overwhelming. We had pretty much back-to-back people in the clinic all day, and there was a lot of energy and excitement in the space. And the feedback was really, the facility is beautiful and it's a great environment to be in, right? It feels good versus a traditional clinic that you may experience. So the response has been great in Boulder. So we're happy.
Awesome. And hopefully that continues. So if people see this and they want to come check it out, or maybe they just want to reach out and get some information, how can they contact you, and where are you located?
Yeah, we're located at the 29th Street Mall in Boulder, kind of towards the north end of the mall there, but they can visit our website, nexthealth.com, find us on Google. We have an Instagram page as well, and they can call or text us, or just stop in. And we love to give tours of the space, and we get a lot of that wow factor. So I know when you came in, you're like, oh, okay,
this is nice.
Yeah, it is different, right, than anything you've experienced in healthcare before. So we'd love people just to come in, and we'd love to show them around and start talking about their health journey and how we can help them.
Awesome. My recommendation is trying the massage chair. It's very nice to go in. That was like the highlight. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to fall asleep in this thing.
An IV in the massage chairs is a real treat.
Yes, game changer. It was amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here, and check them out. Next Health in Boulder just opened up. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.